Okay, so this is Chromaggus. This is the first fight that I think we could have any real issues with, especially if we get one of the breaths called Time Lapse, which I'll explain kind of towards the end of this. So Chromaggus, he's a big dog. He has this elemental shield that basically will change consistently. So he'll have this emote that will happen that says that his skin starts shimmering. That will change the elemental shield that he has on him. Um, when that does, basically he'll take increased damage from a single source, and everything else he'll take reduced damage from. He always takes about the same amount of physical damage, but for casters, that's highly important to pay attention to. Um, what we'll end up doing is Chromaggus' lever over there will open his cage door. He runs out and will pretty much aggro immediately. So the way that I usually have done it in the past is have a hunter pull the lever so that they can run back over, or a rogue can pull the lever and vanish so that they can run back over. Um, and that way we can kind of have a chance to get set up. So that's probably what we'll do. The main tank will stand at X, and he's just going to hold Chromaggus right in front of him. Chromaggus' most of his body will be in the doorway, uh, and you're just going to be tanking here. The main reason you're tanking here is so that your healers can stand over by purple and line of sight Chromaggus while still healing you. Um, the melee are going to stand at the green triangle, and they're going to DPS from there. Um, Hopefully they won't need a lot of raid healing, but they're probably going to need some. So some of the healers are going to have to pay attention and heal the melee, and they're going to have to be moving in and out and managing their debuffs and breaths and things like that. Melee, you're also going to want to watch yourself and bandage when you can. One of the things that's going to prevent you from bandaging a lot of times is Chromaggus is going to constantly be putting afflictions on people, and there's 5 different afflictions. They each do different things. I'll link those and what they do down in the description. But one of the main things with them is if you have all 5 afflictions on you at once, then you become a Draconoid and you'll wipe the raid probably. So you definitely don't want to let yourself get all 5 afflictions, but you're probably almost always going to have 1 or 2 on you, unless you're one of the main tank healers, which is out of line of sight. Uh, the other big mechanic that he has are called his breaths. So on any given week, he'll have 2 breaths, and they can change, but they're always on a timer. They always happen back and forth. So he'll always do breath 1, and then he'll do breath 2, then he'll do breath 1 again, and breath 2, and so on and so forth throughout the entire fight. They're on a consistent timer, so you can always avoid them properly. So most of his breaths that he does, the main aspect of it is you just want to line of sight it. Um, uh, some of them will cause extra damage to the tank, so he'll need some extra healing. He'll reduce his armor, things like that. Um, but if everyone else is line of sighting them, then it reduces the impact of them pretty significantly. The one caveat to this is the breath called Time Lapse, which does the exact opposite of wanting to line of sight it. Everyone has to get into line of sight. This includes the tank healers. So if we have a time lapse week, what time lapse does is it drops anyone's threat who's been hit by it by 100%. So it's just a complete threat wipe, but only if you're in line of sight of it. The reason that this becomes problematic is we have a lot of people who will be stepping out of line of sight to let debuffs wear off, bandage, do whatever, and also the fact that you're just used to getting out of line of sight for the breaths in general. If you get out of line of sight when time lapse goes off, the tank can't get out of line of sight, so he's going to get hit, which means he drops threat. Then you get threat, and Chromaggus is not tauntable, so the raid is likely going to wipe because he's going to get into a weird position. It's really hard to reposition him properly, and all around just a bad time. So we'll come to that bridge if we have to, but let's hope that we don't have that first week. Um, if we do, it's still doable. It's just a dance. He'll do breath 1. It's on a timer. He'll do breath 2. It's on the same timer. They switch back and forth, and we'll just call it out, and people just have to pay attention to those breaths. All it takes is one person to screw it up for everyone. Um, Other than that, The only other thing I'll mention is there are these hourglass sands that will drop throughout the instance. These are used to clear the Brute Affliction bronze. So most of them are dispellable. They're either poisons, curses, uh, diseases, things like that. So each person will have to dispel their respective um, debuff. But the Brute Affliction for bronze is only dispellable by these hourglass sands, which is a big factor because we're not going to have unlimited hourglass sands, and it's really bad for the tank to get these. So we'll end up probably stacking the tank with most of our hourglass sands the first week, just to make sure that they have enough to do as many pulls as we need to. Um, the rest of the the rest of the raid will get, if we feel we have enough extra to hand out, we'll hand out extras. Or if we feel like, oh, we're gonna down this on the next attempt for sure, we might hand out some extras in order to get the rest of the raid them. The big thing with Brute Affliction Bronze is at like random intervals it'll stun your character for 4 seconds, which can be really bad when it comes to the time lapse breath especially, and just the other breaths in general. Um, One of the main things with the time lapse breath is basically you have to make sure that you're out and visible an entire 4 seconds prior to the breath, just to make sure you don't accidentally get stunned and then screw the entire raid over. Other than that, he's still overall just not an overly difficult fight, but probably one of the most mechanically complicated fights in here. So hopefully we don't have too much problem with him.